Transportation family. Hope you're having a great week. I wanted to put out an update of one of the new features that our team has finally launched, which is really exciting time for us right now. So if you are inside of the Transport CRM system, in the bottom left corner, there is now a tab that says NEMT Profitability. So I kind of want to let you guys know what that means, what is this all about. So if we click into that tab, it pulls up an actual calculator and a dashboard that helps you identify how profitable your NEMT business is, right? So let's kind of get into this. So click there, and this is available in all sub accounts. So if you have a chance, please get in here, play around with it, and see the type of data they can spit out for you. But it's very powerful. So let's kind of start at the beginning. So this is meant to calculate your medical transportation, your non-emergency medical transportation business's overhead, your break-even points, and essentially tell you what your margins are pretty much across the business. Now, it's probably 90% accurate, yes. Is it 100%? No, there's always nuances to the business that always play a role. But this will definitely give you enough data to help you understand your rates, how you need to move forward, and just give you a better overall view of what's going on in the business. So if we start at the beginning, revenue and goals, here is where you input your base rate for transport. So let's say you are a NEMT company and you provide ambulatory as well as wheelchair as well as stretcher transport. Essentially, you can toggle each one of these on and actually input what your base rate is for each one of these. So let's do a quick example. So let's say for your ambulatory, and we'll get to mileage rates as well, but for here is just your standard base rate, regardless of how many miles they take. What is your standard base rate? So, and this is also an average. So if you say, hey, my standard ambulatory rate is $45 per trip. My standard wheelchair rate for transportation is $75 per trip. We can toggle each one of those on, and we can actually start to figure out, okay, what's our profit? What's our break-even point? How much money are we actually making per trip? So let's toggle those on for now. And then let's fill out some other details in here. So let's fill out, what our monthly cost is for vehicle insurance. Let's say it's, I think, anywhere from $12,000 to $14,000 is pretty annual, right? It's pretty common for insurance. So if we divide that obviously by 12 months, we'll get like $1,100. We'll use that. We'll say the vehicle node is another $700 a month. If we have a dispatch software, I'll put 0 here for now. Actually, let's put $65. And then for miscellaneous, any of those miscellaneous subscriptions that you may have, whether it's Transport CRM, for instance. So if that's $125, your monthly driver cost, if you have actual drivers that you're paying, what is their salary per month? If you are operating, or you are an owner operator, you're operating the business by yourself, then you could essentially set what you want this monthly driver cost to be. Let's set it at 0 for now, assuming we are an owner operator. But of course, if you're not, you're able to kind of input those numbers that are relevant to your business. And then let's look at some of the variable costs, right? So this is where it's important to kind of understand our business and understand, especially when you talk about how many trips per mile do you technically do, right? A lot of times you can figure this out by just kind of taking the origin and destination that you go to and trying to figure out, okay, what's the average, miles per trip, and each trip equals, so a one way equals one trip. A round trip equals 2 trips. So I'll come back to that here in a second. But let's say your average miles that you transport somebody is, I don't know, let's say 20 miles. Right? Fuel costs right now, I know it's kind of crazy right now, but it's always going to fluctuate. So let's put a kind of a normalized environment for the cost per gallon for fuel, and we'll just put $2.75. Most of our vehicles, the wheelchair vans, most people aren't using electric vehicles, so they are still paying fuel costs for that. So your average vehicle mile per gallon is probably around 18 to 20 miles per gallon for any like standard size SUV or standard size van. So let's put that at 20. Let's say we're getting 20 miles per gallon, and let's say our monthly maintenance costs for our vehicle. So this is a monthly maintenance is essentially, okay, every month I have to do what to my vehicle from a maintenance perspective, whether it's an oil change. Usually when we have a larger fleet, monthly maintenance comes into play, but if you have smaller fleets, your monthly maintenance cost may be 0 to just a couple dollars here and there. So let's do $100 a month for just vehicle maintenance. And then the mileage rate, although this can vary based on wheelchair or ambulatory, take the average of all of your mileage rates and kind of put a number here. So let's say I charge $5 per mile for wheelchair. I charge $4 per mile for stretcher, so on and so forth. Make sure that your mileage rate that you charge is the average of all of the services you provide. Whether it's so in this example, we're doing standard ambulatory and wheelchair. So if our mileage rate is different for each one of those, we're just going to figure out what's the average for the two. So let's say our average cost per mile, rate per mile, is $3.50. So we plug that in. We got all our fixed monthly overhead in here. We have our variable trip cost in here, which is very, very important. And then we can kind of toggle this lever here up and down, and it'll tell us what our break-even points are. It'll tell us how much is our monthly profit projected to be. So let's take this down to about 30 trips per month. Now, very important for you to understand that 30 trips per month is a one-way equals one trip, a round trip equals two. So essentially, if you are doing 15 round trips, you're doing 30 trips per month. Or if you're doing 31 ways, you're doing 30 trips per month. So you can toggle this lever to kind of give you an idea of where you would be from a margin perspective, how much your monthly profit would be based on all of the factors that you put into this calculator, which is very important. So we have our monthly trips at 30. It gives us what our projected monthly profit would be. Obviously, there's going to be nuances where you're charging more, you're getting tips, you're getting all types of stuff, right? But this gives us a pretty good idea of where we need to be every month from a trip standpoint in order to break even. Anything above that, of course, is additional profit. So we're saying 30 trips a month for between wheelchair and standard ambulatory trips. We need to do about 17 trips a month, which is 8 round trips and an additional 9 one-way trips. And then it gives you what your net profit is per trip. This fixed overhead is just based on the details that you put into this fixed monthly overhead section. So it's showing us that we have about a $19, almost $2,000 a month fixed overhead. And then the fuel cost per trip, maintenance per trip, it kind of breaks that down and it's dividing that cost over how many trips that we're doing per month. Then that total variable cost is $6.08 per trip. So saying, okay, how much is it really costing you per trip? So hopefully this is a really, really good tool for especially some of the newer business or business that have been around a while, and they're like, hey, I really want to figure out at a point, where do I need to increase my rates based on some of my fixed monthly overhead increasing, or where can I really think about cutting down costs? And this gives you a pretty good picture of what that looks like. So again, this is available in all sub accounts starting yesterday. Sorry for the lateness there, but this is available now. If you click into the NEMT Profitability tab, you'll be able to play around with this feature. Hope you have an amazing week, and give us a call. Contact us if you have questions. Thanks, guys.